Every morning, before your feet touch the floor, you make a decision. That decision is not about the alarm clock. It is about who you are becoming. You either rise and take command of the day, or you let the day take command of you. Jim Rohn spent his entire life teaching one simple truth. Discipline weighs ounces, regret weighs tons. Nowhere is that truth tested more directly than in the first 60 seconds after your eyes open. Most people treat the morning as an inconvenience. Something to survive. A blur of snoozed alarms, rushed showers, and half-finished coffee. They stumble into their day instead of stepping into it. And then they wonder why their life feels like it is happening to them, instead of being built by them. But a small number of people see the morning differently. They see it as the one window in the entire day that belongs completely to them. No boss demanding their time, no phone buzzing with other people's emergencies. No traffic, no meetings, no noise. Just them, their thoughts, and the choice of what kind of person they are going to be for the next 16 hours. Today we are going to break down exactly why that window matters, how the most disciplined people in history have used it, and how you can turn your own mornings into the foundation for the life you actually want. Stay with me, because by the end of this, you will never look at your alarm clock the same way again. Number 1. The hidden cost of a wasted morning. Jim Rohn used to say that we suffer one of two pains, the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. Discipline weighs ounces, regret weighs tons, and the snooze button is where that choice is made, 10 minutes at a time. Here is what nobody tells you about hitting snooze. It is not really about the extra sleep. 9 minutes of broken, low-quality sleep does almost nothing for your body. What it actually does is teach your brain a lesson, and that lesson is this. When things get uncomfortable, you are allowed to retreat. That lesson does not stay in the bedroom. It follows you into your workouts, your business, your relationships, your goals. The moment discomfort shows up, some part of you has already been trained to look for the snooze button. And the tragedy is that most people never even notice this pattern forming, because it happens in the dark, half asleep, before the day has even started. Compare that to the version of you who gets up the instant the alarm rings, no negotiation, no bargaining with the blanket. That single small act sends a message to your own mind. I do what I decide, not what I feel like. It sounds small. It is not small. It is the first rep in the most important kind of training there is, training yourself to keep your word to yourself. Jim Rohn built his entire philosophy on this idea. He did not believe in motivation as a feeling you wait for. He believed in discipline as a decision you make, especially on the mornings you do not feel like making it. Motivation gets you started. Discipline keeps you moving. After the motivation is long gone, the restraint you show at 5 in the morning is the same restraint that will show up in your business, your finances, and your relationships later that day. Think about the version of your life where every single morning starts with a small act of self-betrayal, the snoozed alarm, the wasted hour, the slow slide into the day. Now think about the version where every morning starts with a small act of self-respect. Those two paths do not stay close together. Over a year, over 5 years, over a lifetime, they take you to completely different destinations. Number 2. Why the early hours hold more power than any other hour of the day. There is a reason nearly every person Jim Rohn admired, studied, or worked alongside treated the early morning as sacred. It is not superstition. It is math. The early hours are the only hours in your entire day that have not yet been claimed by someone else. By 9 in the morning, your inbox has an opinion about your day. Your coworkers have demands. Your children, your clients, your notifications, all of them have already started making requests of your time and attention. But at 5 in the morning, none of that exists yet. The world has not woken up to ask anything of you. For one quiet stretch of time, your day still belongs entirely to you. Rohn often pointed out that successful people do not have more hours than anyone else. They simply refuse to give away the hours that matter most. The early morning is not valuable because it is quiet. It is valuable because it is undefended. Nobody is competing with you for it. Nobody is interrupting it. It is the one part of the day where discipline, not defense, decides how it gets spent. Consider Colonel Harlan Sanders, the man behind Kentucky Fried Chicken. In his 60s, broke and starting over completely, he built his second life on early mornings, spent perfecting his recipe and pitching restaurant owners before most people had finished breakfast. He did not have youth on his side. He did not have capital on his side. What he was a willingness to use the hours nobody else wanted. Or look at Sam Walton, the founder of Walmart, who was known to be at his stores before sunrise, walking the aisles, talking to employees, thinking through problems while the parking lot was still empty. He was not doing this because mornings are romantic. He was doing it because clarity is cheaper before 9 in the morning than it is after. The early hours are also when your mind is at its sharpest, before decision fatigue sets in, before 100 small choices have worn down your willpower. Writers write their hardest chapters before noon. Founders solve their toughest problems before their first meeting. Athletes train before the gym fills up. This is not a coincidence. It is a pattern, repeated across every field, by people who understood that clarity is a resource, and the morning is where that resource is most abundant. If you have never experienced a genuinely early, undisturbed morning, you are missing one of the most reliable advantages available to any human being, regardless of income, education, or background. It costs nothing. It requires no permission. It is simply waiting for you to claim it. Number 3, the 3 things every disciplined morning is built on. Jim Rohn was famous for reducing complicated ideas into simple, repeatable systems because he knew that complexity kills consistency. A morning routine does not need 20 steps. It needs 3. Move your body, feed your mind, and set your direction. Movement comes first. Your body is the vehicle for everything else you are going to do that day. And a vehicle that has not been started runs poorly all morning. This does not mean a 2-hour gym session. It can mean 10 minutes of stretching, a short walk, or a handful of push-ups before you even open your phone. The goal is simple. Tell your nervous system the day has begun before the day tells you. Feeding your mind comes second. What goes into your head in the first 30 minutes of the day sets the operating system for everything that follows. Rohn was relentless about this idea, teaching that you become a product of the books you read and the ideas you absorb, especially the ones you consume first thing in the morning. If the first thing you absorb is outrage, comparison, or noise from a screen, you have handed the steering wheel of your mindset to someone else before you even said good morning to yourself. Instead, feed your consciousness something that builds you. A chapter of a book, a short lesson from someone you respect, 10 minutes of writing down your own thoughts. This is not about becoming a monk. It is about choosing deliberately what shapes you, instead of letting an algorithm choose for you. Setting your direction completes the trio. This is where planning your day replaces reacting to your day. Rohn used to say that if you do not design your own life plan, chances are you will fall into someone else's plan and guess what they have planned for you. Not much. Spend even 5 minutes deciding what actually matters today, your 1 or 2 non-negotiable priorities, before the emails and requests start pulling you in 6 directions. None of these 3 things require more than 30 or 40 minutes combined. This is not about hour-long routines reserved for people with unlimited free time. It is about the order of operations. Move first. Feed your mind second. Decide your direction third. Do those 3 things before the world gets a vote, and you walk into your day standing up instead of getting dragged into it. Number 4. The mindset that separates early risers from everyone else. Waking up early is not fundamentally about the clock. It is about identity. Rohn taught that we do not get what we want in life. We get what we are. And what we are is built one small decision at a time, especially the decisions nobody else is watching. Here is the challenge nobody talks about, honestly. The moment your alarm rings, Your mind is going to negotiate with you. It will tell you the bed is warm. It will insist that 5 more minutes will not matter. It will tempt you with promises that tomorrow is a better day to start. This negotiation is not a sign that something is wrong with you. It is completely normal. Every single disciplined person on earth has heard that same voice. The difference is not that successful people do not hear it. Successful people distinguish themselves by deciding, in advance, which voice wins. They do not wait to feel like getting up. They already made the decision the night before, and in the morning, all that is left is to follow through on a promise they already made to themselves. Rohn often reminded people that discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment, and that bridge gets built one small crossing at a time. Waking up the instant your alarm sounds is one of the smallest, most repeatable ways to practice keeping a promise to yourself. It seems insignificant. It is not insignificant. It is a rehearsal for every larger act of discipline your future is going to require. Look at Frederick Douglass, who, even while enslaved, would rise before dawn to teach himself to read using whatever scraps of material he could find, understanding that his freedom would eventually depend on a mind he trained himself in hours nobody was watching. Or consider John Wooden, the legendary basketball coach. He structured his mornings around preparations so detailed that his teams were often more disciplined before a single opponent showed up than other teams were during the game itself. None of these people were born disciplined. Discipline is not a personality trait you either have or do not have. It is a muscle. Every early morning you choose to rise instead of retreat. You are adding a small amount of strength to that muscle. Every time you hit snooze, you are letting it atrophy. There is no neutral option. You are always either building the muscle or weakening it. Number 5. Turning solitude into your competitive advantage. In a world of constant notifications, group chats, and other people's opinions, uninterrupted solitude has become one of the rarest resources a person can have. And the early morning is where that resource is still available, free of charge, to anyone willing to claim it. Rohn was a firm believer in reflection, often reminding people that a life worth living is a life worth examining, and that examination requires quiet, not the absence of noise for its own sake, but space to actually hear your own thinking instead of everyone else's. Most people avoid this kind of silence without realizing it. The instant they wake up, the phone comes out. Before their feet hit the floor, they are already absorbing somebody else's headline, somebody else's highlight reel, somebody else's outrage. They fill the one truly private part of their day with everyone else's voice, and then wonder why they feel disconnected from their actual goals. Solitude is not the same as loneliness. Loneliness is an absence. Solitude is a choice. It is the deliberate decision to spend 15 or 20 minutes with nothing but your own thoughts, your goals, and your plans before the rest of the world gets to weigh in. Some of the most productive thinkers in history protected this time fiercely, understanding that clarity cannot be rushed and cannot be shared. Try this for even a single week. Wake up, and instead of reaching for your phone, sit somewhere quiet. Write down 3 things you are grateful for. Write down the one outcome that would make today a win. Sit with your actual thoughts long enough to hear them, instead of drowning them out before they can form. This is not soft, feel-good advice. This is strategic. A mind that has been given even a few minutes of undivided quiet makes sharper decisions for the rest of the day. A mind that goes straight from sleep into scrolling starts the day already reacting to things outside its control. One of these approaches builds a person who leads their day. The other builds a person who is led by it. Number 6. Why most people fail, and how to make sure you don't. Waking up early sounds simple in theory. In practice, most people who try it quit within a week, and it is worth understanding exactly why. Because the reasons are almost always the same 3 mistakes. First mistake, trying to change everything overnight. Someone waking up at 8 decides, out of sheer motivation, to start waking up at 5 the very next day. Their body has no chance to adjust. They feel exhausted for days, and by day 4, they have quietly given up and told themselves they are simply not a morning person. Rohn taught that success is built through a few small disciplines practiced consistently over time, not through dramatic, unsustainable overhauls. The fix is simple. Shift your wake-up time by 15 or 20 minutes. Every few days, not 5 hours all at once. Protecting the morning while ignoring the evening represents the second mistake. You cannot stay up scrolling until midnight and then expect to spring out of bed at 5 with energy and enthusiasm. The battle against the alarm clock is mostly won or lost the night before, in the decisions about when you put the phone down and when you actually turn off the light. If you are serious about your mornings, you have to become equally serious about your evenings. Finally, mistake number 3 is having no reason to get up. If your only plan for the extra time is vague, discipline alone will not sustain it for long. But if you have something specific waiting for you, a project you care about, a goal you are excited to move forward, a version of yourself you are actively building, the early morning stops feeling like a sacrifice and starts feeling like an appointment you do not want to miss. Rohn distinguished between 2 pains, the immediate sting of discipline versus the crushing weight of regret that accumulates over time. Waking up early feels like a small weight in the moment. Skipping it, day after day, year after year, becomes a much heavier weight later, the weight of knowing you had the time and let it slip away. If you have failed at this before, that does not mean you are incapable of it. It almost certainly means you tried to change too much, too fast, without adjusting your evenings and without a clear reason pulling you out of bed. Fix those 3 things and the whole equation changes. Number 7. How one strong morning becomes an entire life. Here is the connection most people never make. Your morning is not just your morning. It is a preview of how you handle everything else. The way you treat the first hour after waking up is a direct reflection of how you treat challenges, deadlines, and difficult decisions throughout the rest of the day. If you cannot keep a promise to yourself about getting out of bed, it becomes much harder to keep other promises. This applies to finishing projects, having difficult conversations, or sticking to plans when they get uncomfortable. The pattern you set at 5 in the morning quietly repeats itself at every difficult moment for the next 16 hours. Rohn built his entire philosophy around this exact principle, the idea that your life does not change dramatically overnight. It changes gradually, through the accumulation of small, disciplined choices repeated daily until they compound into something unrecognizable from where you started. The person who rises with purpose every morning for a year is not the same person who hit snooze for a year, even if nothing else about their circumstances changed. Think about 2 people starting from the exact same point. One wakes up, checks their phone, scrolls for 20 minutes, rushes through breakfast, and arrives at work already feeling behind. The other wakes up, moves their body for 10 minutes, reads something worthwhile for 10 minutes, and writes down their top priority for the day. Neither of these mornings takes more than half an hour, but repeated for a month, then a year, then a decade, these 2 mornings produce 2 entirely different lives, 2 entirely different levels of confidence, and 2 entirely different relationships with their own potential. This is the real reason discipline in the morning matters so much. It is never really about the clock. It is about proving to yourself, in a small, repeatable way every single day, that you are someone who follows through. That proof compounds. It shows up in your confidence, in your relationships, in your work, in the way you handle setbacks. Rohn understood that we are not defined by the occasional heroic effort. We are defined by what we repeat. So here is the real question, and it is the only one that matters. Tomorrow morning, when your alarm rings, what will you decide? Will you negotiate with the blanket, or will you get up and prove something to yourself before the rest of the world even wakes up? You do not need to become a different person overnight. You do not need to wake up at 4 tomorrow and overhaul your entire life. Start with 15 minutes earlier than usual. Move your body. Feed your mind with something worth keeping. Decide in writing what actually matters today. Do that for 7 days and pay attention to what shifts in your focus, your confidence, and the way you carry yourself through the rest of your day. Discipline weighs ounces. Regret weighs tons. That choice gets made every single morning, in the quiet moment before your feet touch the floor. Nobody is going to make it for you, and nobody is watching to see which one you pick, but you will know. And over enough mornings, so will the rest of your life. The alarm is going to ring again tomorrow. The only question left is what you are going to do about it.